Salam, Peace Hotep, April 22nd, Canaanland. You know how we do. Canaanland Moors class, free class, everybody, welcome. Today's class, we're going to be dealing with keeping the doors open. All right, keep the doors open. It's today's class. Because people are waking up all over the place right now. And as much as, you know, as much as there's Noble Drew Ali haters, Moorish Temple of America haters, you know, that continue to push their agenda, you know what I mean? Try to disconnect the people from Noble Drew Ali and all that. You know, some stupid people jump off, you know what I mean? Some people know what it is, but they just jump off and, you know, figure they're not going to deal with it, you know? And some people stay on it, regardless of what, regardless of how much they get abused, just for doing something simple as standing up on your right. Something simple. Something as simple as standing up on your rights. Nothing crazy, just stand up for a right. Pick one. Right to do whatever, right? Right to put a straw in your juice, and somebody's going to tell you you have a right to do that. And that's your juice and your straw, right? People are imposing themselves on you, violating your rights. And even after that, still going to stand up on birthrights, even though you got violated. So Islam to all you Moors out there who continue to stand up and continue to get beat down and staying on it, right? Because y'all have a purpose too. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Islam to all the Moors everywhere. Anywhere that you can do your research and find out there are people of that land called Moors, or they wore fezzes, or they wore tunics, or, you know, they had curly front shoes, or whatever, curly mustache, or whatever, just know. You know what I mean? Honest to all those Moors there, right? And, you know, most of all, honest to all the Moors in the North Gate, right? All the Moors in South of Mexham, all the Moors Central of Mexham, all the Moors on the islands, you know, that are just an extension of the Americas. Islam to all of you, and Islam to all you Europeans out there who realize that the Moors are back, and you want to do something to make sure that, you know, the legacy, right? The legacy and the history and the culture of the Moors doesn't get extinguished ever again. Because some of you Europeans, you know without a shadow of a doubt that there wasn't no Africans or black guys or shadow people or whatever that got you out the Dark Ages. You know it was the Moors. You know it was the Moors, because I know y'all study. So Islam, to all you Europeans out there who are taking the position of putting Noble Drew Ali up front, just like some of your forefathers did when they found out about him, and they jumped ship for their Christian crap, right? And Catholic crap and Presbyterian whatever, and they started picking up the esoteric sciences, right? And they didn't belong to lodges or nothing. They were just, you know, doing what they do. So it's all about keeping the doors open, Moors. How are we the best way to keep the doors open? What's the best way to keep the doors open to make sure that this doesn't happen again, where people don't know about Noble Drew Ali or whatever to do with the Moorish movement? They don't know about them, right? That's changing, right? That's changing because, you know, there's going to be no doors on the temple now, right? No doors on the temple. Why is there no doors on the temple? Because the temple is a frame of mind. The temple is not some building you're going to go to be Moors, right? So keep the doors open, meaning take off the hinges, take the door off, throw the door away, and it's open season on Moorish Science Temple right now. Open season. Any number out there that you get for Moorish Science Temple of America, you should be able to call them, and they should be able to give you the same level of information that you're getting from Aline Bay, Kudrow, Nature, El Bay, Taj Street Bay, Sister Rosmariah, whoever else, right? That's what you should be getting, or this is what you should be getting, I say, right? The door is open. I'm letting y'all know because I'm Grand Chief. I'm not just some Moor that came up and found about Noble Drew Ali. And like, I went through Adab Chamber and all that. I'm telling you, because as a Grand Chief, I have an obligation to let you know. I'm telling you, the door has been busted off the temples right now. Because, you know, everybody basically dropped the ball. And because people drop the ball, people have to pick up stuff and do stuff. So we want to give supreme honors, like supreme honors, right? To the Morning Star Spring Series newsletter, right? I am Hip Hop Temple number 23, Oakland Bay area, right? And every time all we're hearing about is Moors and Khalifa and doing stuff, always doing stuff. You know what I mean? So they're more active. They don't sit around and stuff on Facebook and all that. They're doing stuff. So this is the third issue, one that just came out. All right, and you see you got your postcard, dated, etc. So you can go do the research, right? Stop listening to dumb people, and see that Noble Drew Ali went to visit Marcus Garvey in Atlanta prison, right? It's a you know, myth to black guys, but to Moors, they met, right? So quickly on that, just to, right? So the Sleepy Moor quiz for the Morning Star. Is it a coincidence that 1 month after Prophet Noble Drew Ali met the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, he was deported from the U.S. federal prison? Stop and think about it. I told you, there's the postcard right there. Okay? Yeah, you might see this a lot and, you know, just not really paying attention, but pay attention to this. Because this is letting you know that the only reason Marcus Garvey got out of prison is because of Noble Drew Ali. And because he didn't nationalize like he was supposed to do, like Noble Drew Ali told him when he went to visit him, I'm sure he took him nationality card and everything, right? But what did he do? He didn't proclaim that. You know, different than how Cassius Clay did it. Out your mouth. You don't need no papers or nothing. I'm telling you who I am. That's who I am. And he wouldn't have got deported. But, you know, being that he's a Garvey, which means he's European property, right? There it goes. And then everybody's going to pretend like there was no relation between those two people, right? The hell out of here. So they'll tell you whatever, but the door's open right now. Don't let these jokers, run game on you. Oh yeah, just a reminder, this Saturday is going down with me and Ali Muhammad too. So, you know, you already know how Canaanland Moors does. We're not holding back any footage of anything, right? We put up everything. So don't worry. Just don't worry. If it doesn't get streamed, because I hear there's some weird stuff going on, you know what I mean, with certain people not getting certain things, and because they're not getting certain things, they're not going certain places and stuff like that, when things are supposed to be for the community around here, you know what I mean? It's a community thing, you know? Where things are running really like business, you know, being debate things, seeing what's going on. You know what I'm saying? This is like some marketable stuff right here, you know what I mean? So we're going to make sure that we make use of the platform. You know, we're going to make use of the platform. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're going to make use of the platform. You know what I mean? I shut my mouth all week until today, just so I can tell y'all. We're going to make use of that platform called debating amongst conscious people. For all the people, why are you doing it, Kudro? Y'all going to see why I'm doing it now. Because it's on Saturday. Right? So don't forget, Morning Star. Right? They got law words of the day. Right? 3 questions of the day. Teaching you Swahili. You know, put in Swahili words and then the English translation. Right? Of course, there's going to be advertisements for Moorish businesses, right? If you want to hit them up, make sure don't front. Remember the new one that we're dropping. You know, liking is cheap. You don't come pushing like and stuff like that, and then not buy nothing or not support. You know, we don't want to do the liking. Forget liking, right? So IAMHH Temple, number 23, P.O. Box, or apologies, attention, News Department, P.O. Box 7560, Oakland Territory, California Republic 94601, and email iamhhtemple@gmail.com. iamhhtemple@gmail.com. And then don't forget, also, since we're in Cali right now, Moors in America, a compilation, right? Sister Taida Naji Ula L and Brother Victor Taylor L. You can get that from MSTA number 101, and they're also in Cali. And make sure you go get the book, support, because you know, like we're saying, you know, the new slogan, liking is cheap, show support, right? So Morning Star Volume 2. So you know, you see that the Moors are active out there. You know, they got 3 volumes of a little newsletter, and this is activity. This is doing what Moors do. You know what I mean? It's only paper and print and some images with words. That's all. Make 5,000 of these and stand on the corner and do like NOI. Just give them out to people. Why not? They're doing it, and they're telling people crap. Right? Where is our national domicile? Sleepy More quiz. Why is El Hajj Malik, I like this Sleepy More quiz thing. Why is El Hajj Malik El Shabazz referred to as Malcolm X and not by his free national name? Right? That's something to think about. Stuff to think about. Right? So make sure you show support. Right? Again, you know, words of the day, question of the day, you know, learning Swahili, contact information. Well, the other thing that's pretty ill is the verses of spiritual guidance on the back bottom, you know, where it's giving you Bible, Holy Quran, and Holy Quran chapters, you know, for verses of spiritual guidance. So, and then everybody by now should have got the first issue, you know, the debut issue. Right. So, Islam to the Morning Star. Keep doing the good work. Love y'all Moors for doing what's supposed to be done. Because we need more of that. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation, that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme they can to disqualify me, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and the uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. This is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. The Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, as we spoke about, for all new people, if you didn't know or if you didn't hear, that letter that we just read, is a letter that Noble Drew Ali put out to let the Moors know to stay strong, Moors. You know, things might look funny right now. Things might look shady. You know, things might not be looking like it's going well in our favor right now, but he did say that it's yours. So if the prophet said that the Moorish Science Temple of America is yours, then that means you have some type of claim or ownership on this thing called Moorish Science Temple of America. Being that you have the claim, whether you're a member of one or not, you have an obligation to go to those places and get some information, wherever they are, whatever they're called. You have an obligation to go. Because Raleigh said it's yours. So every single Moorish Science Temple of America, wherever it is yours, and you should be able to go there, go inside, sit down, do whatever it is you do as a Moorish American, because that's your temple, right? Now, you realize that that's not the case. You realize that when people hear Moorish Science Temple of America, first thing that comes to their mind is those guys who's always getting locked up, right? And they don't even know anything about law, but that's their position, right? Do not allow yourself to be fooled. Do not allow yourself to be gamed. Do not allow yourself to be told about this information by anyone, and you not go do your own research to see if this thing's legit. If you take anybody's word for anything with regard to this, without going and doing your research to verify whatever it is that you want to find out that's intriguing you to be involved or study this level of information, right? Just make sure that you do your own due diligence, right? When we go and testing stuff, you know what I mean? Like when they say out here, when it's winter, stay off the lake, you know what I mean? And then, you know, one smart guy thinks that, yeah, let's try to run to the middle, you know, and fall through the ice and all that stuff, right? Don't be trying stuff with regard to this. You better know what you're doing, because this is birthrights. And birthrights is going back to the state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Ancient and divine principles. Ancient principles. Going back to those. Clearing your mind of the nigger industry download and uploading something ancient from your DNA. That's what this is about. This isn't about going and trying stuff. see if this is legit, right? As man unfolds, his God unfolds. So you better know what you're doing, because the mind is the engine for the body. And if your mind is not working properly, don't expect the body to do anything. Especially know what to do when somebody sends a letter saying you owe 80 million. And you're panicking and because, somebody sent you a letter. Just a letter. What's the problem? Well, they said that there, and it's the red letters, and don't panic. Those guys are fraud. This is our land. We're Moors. A man by the name of Noble Drawley. You never heard about Noble Drawley before? How come you never heard about Noble Drawley before? 2014. You know about Marcus Garvey, right? Yeah. You know about Malcolm X? Yeah. You know about W. Du Bois? Yeah. You know about Nation Islam? Yeah. NAACP? Yeah. Black Panthers? Yeah. So all you know about all those people and you don't know about Noble Drawley. And then when he's presented, nothing inspires you to continue studying. So we know that the people who are involved in this are a certain frequency. So when we do classes, we talk to those people, because this isn't for everybody. Some people need the black stuff because that's where they are, right? Noble Drew Ali, we're not praising some guy, all right? We're not praising some guy. We're not honoring some guy. Bow at the feet and, you know what I mean, like how you see people act with religious personages. The individual, just like how we tell the races, yo, Selassie was a king, emperor, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we honor him. He was a man, right? And then you have people, like a boy, Ali Muhammad and these people, right? They want to beat up on a dead man who can't defend himself, right? That's how they do stuff. That's the bullying that they get down with. Beat up on the dead guy. Beat up the dead guy. Once you beat up the dead guy, then that way people are gonna see that, that guy didn't do nothing and he's this and he's that. Who cares about that guy? There's stuff that he brought though that has nothing to do with him, because it's still here today and he ain't here. He's not here, and the stuff that we have in our possession as Moors that everybody's trying to say, don't go over there because those guys are stealing houses and they're going to get you locked up or whatever. This is where the salvation's at. People can take whatever they want for it, because trust me, I get enough calls to know who the frauds are out there and who's legit. I'm telling you. I get enough calls from people, just random people, who are on freedom as a mindset. And when Noble Dwellies talk about a few faithful Moors among you all and all that, that's real. Few faithful Moors. Among all these Moors, there's only a few faithful Moors. And then ones that are coming in aren't getting what they're supposed to get because everything's scattered. Because everybody put their whatever, sign, flag, whatever it is they created, made up, whatever, in front of Noble Drawley. And then they'll write his name in the stuff, you know what I mean, that they put out there. Noble Drawley is the man and whatever, and he's the god of the... But when it's time to demonstrate, he ain't nowhere. No pictures of him, no nothing, right? So, as Moorish Americans, as defenders of the Prophet, it's all about the mindset. It's all about mindset. It's not about clubism, religiousism, dogmaism, these people in a cornerism. It's not that. When you get on this information, as far as Moors, Moorish, Noble Drew Ali, anything in that arena, Islam, crescent stars, moons, Great Seal pyramids, when you start getting in there, that level of information, you better have studied Noble Drew Ali before you start going up in that information. Because Noble Drew Ali brought you a foundation, right? Foundation that, again, the letter, be read in every meeting that wasn't read, Few Faithful Moors, your temple, your movement, but people are calling me to find out where there's a Moorish Science temple. What do you mean? There's not one in your state? No. What do you mean there's not one in your state? What is not? You got Circle 7? Yeah. You read it? Yeah. There are Moorish Science temple in your state? No. You got Circle 7? Yeah. You read it? Yeah. Okay. So let's go to Circle 7 and see how come there should be temples in every state, right? The end of time and fulfilling of prophecies, right? And this is why, because this was the reading for class, right? This was the reading for class, and then the Khalifa Moore sent the package. I just got the package today. I don't know what's getting the package or nothing like that. You know, Moors don't tell you when they're going to send you stuff. They just send you stuff, right? So get the stuff in the mail, and in there is the Moorish Star Spring series talking about the connection between those, and then today's class thing was to read the ending of, so, right? It's a lot of guys this movement, not some guys in, you know what I mean, wherever to say that they're the grand something or whatever, right? A lot of guys this. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Isa in those days, to warn up and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was taught by Isa. In these modern days, there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared. Oh yeah, one more thing too. Just as I'm reading this, and Moors might be, you know, reading their Circle 7, right? So they're reading their Circle 7, and and John the Baptist is the forerunner of Jesus. And hold on a second, how come Kuto said Isa, and how come I'm saying Jesus? And we're supposed to be reading from the same Circle 7. Well, I'm reading from the Dr. Malachi York version, because remember, he called himself Imam Isa, right? So he was trying to jack that forerunner power from the prophet. That's why he put Circle 7 on. And change stuff in there to say Isa and not say Jesus. Right? This is how deep the sellout goes. Right? Just so you understand, the Noble Drew Ali stuff doesn't say Isa until you get to Red Book. Right? Circle 7 doesn't say Isa. It refers to Jesus from the start of the book. There's something to put out there so you can know how deep the sellout goes about people trying to jack Noble Drew Ali's fame and nobility that he talked about in the letter, that everybody's jealous from him about. And then they don't mention him. But they put out a book that he brought to everybody, right? And they got themselves in the front of it like it's their stuff, when it's not their stuff. But nobody's not going to, you know, bring up the fact that not only is there a Circle 7 put out by Malachi York, but the Holy Tablets, which is the holy book of the Nuwapians, has the Circle 7 in it. But, you know, they're going to say he wasn't honoring Noble Drew Ali and he didn't whatever, right? Don't listen to these guys, because they would sell you down the river. Bet you. R&B singing, calypso singing, makeup wearing, black leaders, right? Sell you out down the river. And they already sold you out because they didn't even tell you about your prophet. So you should be like quadruple mad at them, right? In these modern days, there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of foul earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree and return to their own and to be one with their Father God Allah. Right? And then, then you get to the vine and fig tree part, then the Garveyite saying, well, Noble Drew Ali stole that from him, right? And making up stuff, right? When, you research Garvey will tell you that he got that from somebody else. So, if there's a theme of repetition, you don't need to listen to anybody else. The postcard's fake. Okay, the postcard's fake. Okay, there was a man by the name of Noble Drew Ali. He got pictures. They're black and white. Garvey got pictures. They're black and white. You're not saying his are fake, so why would Noble Drew Ali's be fake? All right, so okay, cool. So Noble Drew Ali put out this book, and in this book he's saying that Marcus Garvey is the forerunner of him. Because Marcus Garvey came to teach and warn the nations of foul earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet. And then when you read Noble Drew Ali's, when you read Marcus Garvey stuff, all he's talking about is nationhood. And we should have a nation. And we should be thinking doing nation stuff, and nation this, and unity, and all that. The repetitive theme. So you don't gotta listen to people telling you that Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey didn't meet. Obviously they met. You read their literature, forget the guys that's backing them up, and forget them. Read what they gave you. And when you read what they gave you, you'll see that there's parallels in what they were saying. Some things even intersect. So it's obvious that they were working together. That's why they deported Marcus Garvey. It's obvious that Marcus Garvey knew, because he was writing for Deuce Ali's paper. And Deuce Ali was a Sudanese Moor who wears fez all the time. You go research Deuce Muhammad Ali, and all you're gonna get is him in his fez. So you can't say that Marcus Garvey didn't know, because the paper that he worked for, the owner, was a Moor from Sudan and Egypt. He was top of top. He wasn't just some Moor walking around. He was big time. People knew him in England as a Moor. Deuce Muhammad Ali has history in England. Documented history in England. Years of history. About all this miraculous things that he did with regard to literature. Books he wrote, conferences that he's doing, that Europeans are coming to hear him talk about ancient Egypt and stuff like that. This is Deuce Muhammad Ali we're talking about, who Marcus Garvey worked for his newspaper. And letting these people tell you crap, right? So we already know that there's the connection between the NOI and the Moorish Science Temple. And then now we know, because of Deuce Muhammad Ali and the circle that was around Marcus Garvey when he started coming into his, status of a leader, he was around Moors the whole time. So if he was around Moors, so he knew what was up. So Garveyites know what's up, NOI know what's up, Luapians know what's up, because Dr. York let them know, right? And people are still saying that, oh no, we need to debate the legitimacy of Moorish Science Temple of America, because, we need to see if it's really real and all this. Don't worry. Gossip. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So if Noble Drew Ali said that any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, how come your stuff doesn't have a charter there? And if there's somebody claiming to be the grand, major, whatever of this idea, you need to be going to them and asking them, how come there's no chartered subordinate temple where you're at? Because they are your trustees. And Noble Drew Ali told the Moors in the 101 questionnaire that you're descendants of Moroccans born in America. That's what makes you Moorish American, not because you went into somebody's temple and proclaimed that. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that you're Moorish American because you're descendants of Moroccans born in America. Right? And this is why you have to take control of your temples to keep the doors open. Because Noble Drew Ali nationalized you just by giving you the information of who you are. You didn't have to do it. All you got to do is proclaim it. Because he did everything. And when you proclaim your nationality in that place called Moorish Science Temple of America, now you're a member. Now you could sit down in the front row and you could start asking questions about certain things. And how come certain people didn't do certain things? Because this is a body politic. For Moors, who are Moorish American, our society. Nobody else has anything to do with this. Nobody has anything to do with this. Right? Because what? The world may hear and know the truth that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned for the redemption of the sons of men. Not just learned for them to know something. There's wisdom to be learned for man to be redeemed. Because that's how far we fell. We fell so far that we don't even honor our own prophet. You know how far that is? That we fell? That we fell so far that we don't even honor our own prophet that came to us, among us. But we'll honor all these crazy people. We'll honor all these people who, want to do whatever, did whatever. And we're not going to show him any type of respect or appreciation or whatever for what he did. And then when we look at our conditions, how come I can't right to travel? And how come they're stopping me? Why are they violating my rights? I proclaim my nationality. Well, because Dirty Moors taught you to abandon your prophet. And judgment's on you if you abandon your prophet. Not on the person who told you abandon your prophet. You abandon your prophet, you're the idiot. Not the person who told you, hey, you know what, you should come join my thing. Don't worry about Noble Drew Ali because, he's whatever. And then you go over there and you get your ass kicked by them guys. Why do you think that happened for? Because Noble Drew Ali is a shield. That's what he said. Without Noble Drew Ali, you're not going to get through the fire. Without Noble Drew Ali, you're not going to get through the fire. Okay? So without Noble Drew Ali, you're not going to get through the fire. He said so himself. So where are you going without him? Just like Islam to Brother Tenwise, the Rastafarians have their Haile Selassie, whatever, pendants and stuff like that. He got his Noble Drew Ali pendants. They're not a Circle 7 stuff and, crescent stars and moons and whatever. Noble Drew Ali. Because that's where the power lies. Right? Why is the power lie there? Because, again, we're not, again, a one page, right? A one page in the Circle 7. And we could talk about for 2 hours on this one page about things relative today, right now. People are complaining about. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a lawfully chartered, blah, 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 blah. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, right? A charter, noun, an instrument emanating from the sovereign power in the nature of a grant, either to the whole nation, for all the people who say no, he didn't bring nationhood and whatever like that, and the thing that he told you to get from these so-called heads of Moorish Science Temple or whatever, in order for you to exercise, so people can know that there's much more information to be learned from the descendants of Africa, is called a charter. And the charter is an instrument emanating from a sovereign power in the nature of a grant. You know what a grant is? Everybody's going to apply for grants, right? Because they want the 2 million so they can help the black community, and the black community needs help or whatever. Okay, we'll have a Moorish Science Temple of America charter, and there's your grant right there. Right? Because don't forget, we get the 1.2 million or whatever, they're not getting nothing. They're getting fiat. So they have nothing anyways. Either to the whole nation or to a class or portion of the people. Or, right? Or. Okay? So this is secondary. Right? So the primary meaning of charter. Don't get the primary meaning of charter connected with the secondary meaning of charter when you hear somebody say the city of whatever has a charter. The charter that they're talking about is to a colony or dependency. That's the charter they're talking about. An instrument emanating from a sovereign power, which in that case of the city would be a corporate sovereign power to them, right? Corporate sovereign, right? In the nature of a grant, either a whole nation or a class or a portion of people or a colony or dependency. So the colony or dependency is the subordinate ones, right? The indigenous people of the land are the superiors. So Noble Drew Ali, being that he's indigenous to the land, being that he's superior, right? He had to be studying law to know that the thing that he's going to be allowing to be issued for people to say that they are Moorish Science Temple of America is called a charter. And being that he is an heir to the vast estate, he's a sovereign. But his sovereignty doesn't come from him because he has the, garment of power and the open the book of the 7 seals or whatever. He has the sovereign power because he's connected to a nation. And that nation is connected to an empire, which is connected to this vast estate that he brought to you and told you that this is your divine movement and I am your prophet and these are your temples. And the people take the position of the sellouts and don't read what Noble Drew Ali brought and don't study. Simple stuff like that, looking up charter so you can have a different perspective of what you think this organization is. It has a charter. Like, charter, an instrument emanating from the sovereign power in the nature of a grant, either to the whole nation or to a class or portion of people or to a colony or dependency, and assuring to them certain rights, liberties, or powers. Such was the Great Charter, or Magna Charta, and such also were the charters granted to certain English colonies in America. The sovereign power had to give the English colonies in America a charter to exist. The question is, who's the sovereign power? If they call themselves founding fathers, but they got a charter from somebody, obviously they're not founding fathers because they have a charter. And the charter doesn't come from the individual who has the charter. That's why Noble Drew Ali gave the charter, because he was the sovereign power, right? And he gave us, he assured to us certain rights, right to proclaim your nationality, right to your religion, Islamism, right to, right whatever customs Moors make up in their temples. If you want to put the tax down the feds, if you want whatever, that's your own stuff. You guys do whatever. But where's the unity? What's your nationality? Moorish American. Oh yeah, I'm too. All right, let's go. Get some work done. That's what this is, right? A charter differs from a constitution in that the former is granted by the sovereign, while the latter is established by the people themselves. Okay? So, Moors who are living in areas that do not have a Moorish science temple, according to what Noble Drew Ali laid down, you're supposed to be able to go to the Grand Major Temple and go get a charter to be Moorish science temple wherever you are. That's it. That's it. According to Noble Drew Ali. Now, if you go, if you leave Noble Drew Ali, ditch him, right, and go over here and go talk to some guy about some charters or whatever, you might be paying 300, 400. You might have to, do the backflip with the flaming hoop to get a charter. Because, some people don't want this information out. That's why Moors who are active, right? Moors who are active constantly put information out in whatever type of form, just putting information out. Because we already know that these people drop the ball and they're not catching no balls when it's hit to them. You know what I mean? Yeah, hit it to the one-arm guy. He can't catch, and that guy's not going to ask for a sub. He's going to stay out there dropping balls all day. Right? Why? Because, you got a check or something. Why else would you sell out what Noble Drew Ali brought? I mean, we're not even going into heavy information about what Noble Drew Ali brought. All we're talking about is a charter and the power that a charter has. And the fact that a charter allows you to exercise these certain rights, liberties, or powers that are vested within that charter. And the charter tells you what you could do with it. And it tells you what you're supposed to do. Right? But everybody just want to have charter to pose. To say they got charter. But okay, so what are you doing though? You got charter, you're not doing nothing? If you have a charter, you should be like Khalifa Moors, putting out something. You know what I mean? Every week you have a damn newsletter getting emailed to you. Like, damn, these guys are always sending me stuff. Yeah, because that's where we're at right now. We're behind. You know what I mean? You're lucky you got an email with some stuff, because some of y'all should done get ditched or whatever. Not even bother. Not even waste the time. Which leads us to this. We're not even wasting time, right? Muslim Journal newspaper. Muslim Journal newspaper, right? All right. People think it's some joke or something, right? Muslim Journal mission statement. Muslim Journal newspaper is committed to disseminate unadulterated news to the reading public as an independent newspaper that recognizes Islam as a promoter of freedom, justice, and equality. We have inherited a standard excellence dating back to 1827, when the first African American newspapers, the Freedom Journal, were published, and the decisive newspaper, the North Star, published by Frederick Douglass, the ex-slave and abolitionist who became ambassador to Haiti. Muslim Journal picked up the mantle passed on by Malcolm X as he represented the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the creation of the Muhammad Speaks. Muslim Journal's masthead reads, bringing humanity together with truth and understanding. Its working mantra is to fill the void of our readers, and in doing so, allowing them to see the full picture. We pride ourselves in producing the best quality paper that speaks not only to the physical and material realm, but also to the spiritual realm of the human soul. Never failing to print a week's issue of this publication for the past 30 plus years, our staff is qualified, dedicated in making sure that your expressions are heard and that your community news is disseminated, utilized, and unique language and school of thought ushered in by Muslim leader Imam W. D. Muhammad. Our pledge to you, readers, advertisers, subscribers, is to stay the course. As Prophet Muhammad said, whenever the Muslim endeavors in a thing, he seeks to perfect it. Following the Prophet, Muslim Journal combats the lingering effects of inferiority in our persons and in our work ethic and champions the spirit of a free and clean press. Right? Okay? Page 12. Page 12. Remember, this is the Muslim Journal. So keep in mind, these are, Sunni, Shiite, Pray, NOI, whatever, the Muslims them, right? And page 12, in their newspaper, December 20th, 2013. December 20th, 2013. In the Muslim Journal newspaper, there's an article in here by Asia Ali, Page in History. Moorish Science Temple of America celebrates 100 years of Islam in America. So Noble Ali came, got assassinated, right? When he got assassinated, big dispersal, you know what I mean? People calling themselves other stuff, people leaving the country, coming back with different names, preaching some other crap that they got from some foreigner over here, right? Instead of sticking to the program, right? And, years going by, there's a little current. There's a little current, but there's not really too much, activity with regard to, Moorish Americans, because everybody went underground after Noble Ali passed, right? And that's oral fact. You know what I mean? Many people died with this information after Noble Ali passed because they were like, God damn, that's how deep the sellout is, right? And they were putting their neck on the line to get what he got. Okay? And then you have, United Nations comes out, tells people, yeah, proclaim your nationality, you have a right to do that, declarations, people denying, now we're not signing that, forget that and all that, while they're raping people's land, those documents are supposed to be protected and all that, right? And then there becomes this realization of this thing again, called Moors, and Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and you know what I mean? And then in 2013, not a black paper, right? Not the African paper, not the Sumerian, Nuwapi, and whoever, not even Moors paper, Muslims, at the end of December 20th, right before the kickoff of the solstice, right, of the equinox, you have Muslims coming out and saying that they're going to write a two-page article. They're going to write a two-page article about the Moorish Science Temple of America celebrates 100 years of Islam in America. 100 years of Islam in America, and they're honoring Noble Drew Ali, which means that the Muslims know. The people who are Sunni Shiite, go into the mosque and all that, pray how much over these times a day or whatever, they know. Right? Let's go back again. Let's go back again and realize how they recognize what's real. Our pledge to you readers, advertisers, and subscribers is to stay the course as, and then in black letters, right? In black letters, as Prophet Muhammad said, in bold black letters, whenever the Muslim endeavors in a thing, he seeks to perfect it. And then, following the Prophet, Muslim Journal combats the lingering effects of inferiority in our persons and in our work ethic and champions the spirit of a free and clean press. Following the Prophet, they're not talking about Prophet Muhammad. Following the Prophet, they're talking about Noble Drew Ali. How we know that? Because when you go read the editorial for the Moorish Guide newspaper, the Prophet is in there talking about a clean and free press. And then these Muslims right here, they didn't say following the Prophet Muhammad in bold black letters. They said following the Prophet. This is in their mission statement. This is how they talk to you without talking to you. Because they constantly tell us, it's a repetitive theme with other people who know about nationality and birthrights and have their own, that they send us signals all the time and we never ever pick up on them. Why? Because we always have some black mindset about who we are. We always have some subordinate mindset about who we are, right? We always want to connect to some tribe that's doing something, like a tribe is something. That's a tribe. A tribe is subordinate to a nation. Why are you showing allegiance to a tribe? Right? So this article by Asia Ali, we'll go into some of this, because The brilliance of this article, is that this article is giving you pretty much everything that Noble Drew Ali brought in a compact form. You know what I mean? You know, Moors will know what we're talking about when we start reading it. You'll get the drift of the article, right? But brilliantly done article, right? With regard to the celebration, 100 years of Islam in America, right? Asia Ali. They might have this online or something, I don't know, but we'll just go through some of this. The Moorish Science Temple of America, MSTA, was founded by Noble Drew Ali in Newark, New Jersey in 1913. This year, 2013, culminates 100 years of express and profound dedication to helping in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teaching those things necessary to make better citizens. The progress of the MSTA has suffered severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement is dedicated to. Its members see MSTA as a divine and national movement, which stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. During Noble Drew Ali's travels in the South, he had examined the conditions there and saw that his people, though physically freed, continued to practice the things that brought dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lived their life. There was not and is not a nation on earth that would recognize our people socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their condition of endeavorment. As a concerned citizen of these United States, Noble Drew Ali applied to all the loyal faithful Moors, members, and American citizens to help in the great humanitarian acts of uplifting the downtrodden and disenfranchised among the Asiatic race and nation. The following is from Noble Drew Ali's historical message to all American and for foreign sympathizers, right? So then, everybody out there, you can do your research on Noble Drew Ali's historical message to America, right? You can check that, right? So they go through that whole reading, right? And then they go, oh, please turn to page 21. So they got more in there because, you know, Muslims, you know, they only honor Prophet Muhammad only, so, you know. But they got 2-page article here on Noble Drew Ali commemorating the 100 years that you didn't even hear Moors do. It is indeed a hard matter to find something suitable for the various occasions where a title needs to be used. It is that these people have no proper name. Did they have a proper name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 17th century? If so, what was it? What did the land from which they were forced have a name? It now appears a good idea for those whose duty it is to write for the various journals to find out what the national name of the forefathers of these people was. Also, look into the history of the founders of civilization and see who they were and where they stood in the building of the present civilization. Probably 2 hours in an up-to-date library would serve to relieve the strain on our men of letters when the occasion presents itself to a title for these people. The matter of the various names given to these people, over 22 million people with all the complexions of every race of the globe, was an act of European psychology. They gave him a name, then defined it as something inferior to theirs. White they defined as a color of purity. Black, they say, represents everything of evil. The Negro, as they were called in this nation, have no nation to which they might look with pride. Their history starts with the close of the Civil War, or more importantly, with his being forced to serve someone else. Thus, he is separated from the illustrious history of his forefathers, who were the founders of the first civilization of the Old World. This matter should be looked into with a hope of correcting it. In conclusion, I urge you to remember that there is work enough for all to do in helping to build a better world. The problems of life are largely social and economic. In a profound sense, they are economic, and in a profound sense, they are social, they are moral and spiritual. Have lofty conceptions of your duties to your country and fellow men in general, and especially those with whom you deal. This includes such honesty and righteousness as will cause you to put yourself in the other fellow's place. Look for the best in others and give them the best that is in you. Have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Brighten the hopes of your youth in order that their courage be increased to dare to do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am your affectionate leader of the MSTA. I shall continue to labor day and night, both in public and private, for your good, thereby contributing to the welfare of our country and its people as a whole. Right? Now, which type of religious leader is talking about his country? Right? If he's not a statesman, or if he doesn't have some type of sovereign power. Right? So that was the Muslim Journal newspaper, December. You can hit them up. You know what I mean? So you can get your back issue. Muslim Journal, 773-952-8177. 773-952-8177. Because, you know, they did something what a lot of people didn't even do. You know? They at least put something out there on it. So, I wanted to also touch on, too, Grand Governor Heru in Atlanta. We got his book, What is in a Name? Remedies to Civil Death, lesson number 6. And you could get him at Amir Heru, AmirHeru, the number 9, at yahoo.com. AmirHeru9 at yahoo.com. And that's Grand Governor Heru, Atlanta. Islam to all the Moors in Atlanta as well. That's constantly doing the work. Regular. All right. Page 24. What are the historical names of our Moorish foremothers and forefathers? To answer this question, we would have to ask another. Where is the Moorish Empire? In times of old, the Moorish Empire had two halves, Eastern and Western. The Eastern Empire was inclusive of Northern Africa, Southern Europe, with caliphates or headquarters in both Damascus, Syria, Mecca, Arabia, the domicile of many Moorish sharifs, and Baghdad, Iraq, also a caliphate in Cordova, Spain. The western half of the empire, known as Al-Maghrib, the furthest west, was North, Central, South America, and the adjoining islands. The Moors throughout the empire had various amounts of cultures, traditions, belief systems, sciences, products of trade and commerce, and they were always trading back and forth of these various elements. Thus you will find the Moors in one half of the empire trading and adopting cultural elements of other Moors from another portion of the empire. This is what made the knowledge of the Moors so vast. We did not limit ourselves. There were Moors with Persian, Egyptian, Arabic, Hebrew, Babylonian, Persian names. Moors with names of indigenous African dialects, etc. The problem with studying the political propaganda devised by the European to benefit the European, falsely called history, is that you don't know who is who. You will read of a name of a Moor ruling the land outside of Africa. He may bear a Persian name in the European, and the European comes behind him and paints a pale painting of him. So you write that individual off as being Caucasian and lose a portion of the legacy of your forefathers. Moors always remember, you can never allow a foreigner to tell your story. The following list of names are merely some of the historical names of the Moors. We hope to inspire you to research other cultures the Moors influenced and learn of the other names of your foremothers and forefathers. However, remember, to make these names intrinsically Moorish, you must add the surnames, cognomens of Bey, El, Ali, Bey, or Ali El onto them, which were returned to us by Prophet Noble Jew Ali. When our empire collapsed, our cousins, sons, and daughters grabbed these names, carved out nations for themselves, and forgot about their mothers and fathers, we, the Moors. Ancient Moabite Arabic names. 99 names of Allah used for personal names by the Moors, ancient Moabites. When used in reference to Allah, these names are prefixed by El, mighty, or Al, the. Ramin, Rahim, Malik, Kudos, and then it just goes down the list of all the names, right? So for all the Moors out there, if you're doing your research with regard to names, right? Research your names, proclaiming your nationality and research your names. The definition or the meaning of the name or the appellation or title is what's you. It's not the name. So, with Jabbar, because he's compelling, right? Not because he's Jabbar. That's why he's compelling. It's compelling and it's recognized as Jabbar. So, and then you can go through all the history. Right? We can go through all the history of the different Moorish cultures and adopt those names. Let's put El Arabi on it. You know what I mean? It's all about not calling yourself a European name. That's what it basically comes down to. Right? So there's names, and then male, female names or whatever. You can do your own research on that. The Moabite Empire was a conglomeration of nations. Remember, nations are subordinate to empires. The Moabite Empire was written into history as the Canaanite Phoenician Empire, the Persian Elamite Empire, and the Babylonian Empire, the Assyrian Empire, etc. All of these previous terminologies are cipher or codified terms alluding to Moabites, presently called Moors. It must be stated that the term Canaanite in its reference to the original dark-skinned woolly-haired Canaanites who circumvented the continent called Africa 5,000 years ago, created the original construct of alphabet that the Greeks, Hebrews, and European nations use today, extended their territory to the land called Carthage, where master merchants facilitating commerce through utilizing the international waters originally created the banner with the red and white stripes that is present in today's U.S. mercantile trading banner, falsely called the quote-unquote U.S. flag. These were the ancient forefathers of the Moors, which is why Prophet Noble Jew Ali in 1913 referred to his first temple in Newark as the Canaanite Temple. The albino stock of Canaanites came much later. and were isolated to certain regions in Canaan. Right, so I just wanted to read that for these jokers who like to come on videos and comment and stuff and all that, and oh yeah, killing Babylonian, you guys are worshiping Canaan and Baal and whatever and all this stupid stuff like that, right? All that albino Canaanite crap that you guys adopted from this European, all that stuff is late, right? So the ancient Canaanites, Phoenicians, etc. are dark-skinned people. Just go ask some Zoroastrians and let them show you their pendant on their chest with the man with the afro and the wings from Kemet. Because everybody knows what's up except us, right? One of the territories in the ancient Moabite Empire was Babylon, who received a bad name by way of the Hebraic propaganda parchment referred to as the Torah. Babylon literally means door to the Most High. The ancient Babylonians, Moabites, were master merchants, astrologers, and master builders. They are our forefathers, and we Moors will not deny them for anyone. In fact, the Moors utilize the Babylonian names as well, because we have birthright under those names also. The European codified the history of the Moors and encrypted our culture under names that would apparently bear no connection to Moorish American nationals. One such cultural encryption was that of Persian. The ancient Persians were called Elamites and were part of the Moabite Empire. Modern-day Elam is called Iran and was formerly a part of the Moabite Empire and is ancient to the amount of 5,000 years, with their federal capital in Susa. The early Malak, M-A-L-A-K, or kings of the Elamite nation date back to about 2700 BC. They often warred with the city of Ur in Chaldea, Babylon. Some dynastic names of this nation are Awan, Simash, Eparti, Anzanite, etc. So A-W-A-N, S-I-M-A-S-H, E-P-A-R-T-I, A-N-Z-A-N-I-T-E. They were a dark-skinned, woolly-haired people who spoke a language akin to the Dravidian tongues of India. They were Moors. Thus, we have a claim to those names as well. For a modern depiction of the original Persians, one merely has to reference the movie called 300 to see the true phenotype of the Persians, Elamites. Right? So on the left is your forefathers' depiction of Persian ruler, Xerxes, with a crown and woolly hair. On the right is the Europeans' depiction of Xerxes from the movie 300, which is much more Europeanized. Right? So we can see the ancient Persian there with the little Taj fro under the tarbush, right, with his natty Rasta beard. And then we have this guy, right? We have this guy who they say is the Persian or the Persians in 300 movie, right? Propaganda, as usual. Anything to distract you from the Moors, make you think that that's not what it's about, right? Conclusion. Moors, in the spirit of demonstrating how your plight is not unique, we must state that the brothers and sisters you presently know as Mexican are going through the same awakening you are. They were colonized by the European. He raped their women, killed their men, misinformed their children, usurped their culture, replacing important elements of it with his Europeans' own, forced his language upon them, that they usurped from the Moors, Latin, and eventually Spanish, and sought to obliterate indigenous Mexican culture. When Noble Drew Ali informed the Moors in 1913, you are not Negroes, black people, colored folks, or Ethiopian. Don't think this was a call merely for you. You are not the only people the European has wronged on earth. You do not have a monopoly on suffering. For all the black guys, all the black guys, right, who like to say, oh yeah, you know, we suffered the best of the black people in slavery 400 years and whatever. Shut up, because everybody's been enslaved. And everybody get reparations already. How come y'all never got any? I'm from this land, so, you know, I'm not looking for no reparations. But for all y'all people who came over here on a slave ship, how come you ain't got reparations yet and everybody else got reparations? And they were in slavery before you. They were in slavery before you, and they got reparations. And you can't get reparations yet. Ask your black leaders how come. I bet you they won't tell you. And for fam on the chat, what is in a name? It's Grand Governor Heru Ranasi L. If you're on Facebook, Heru Ranasi L. I think that's his name on Facebook. Grand Governor Heru in Atlanta. And the email again is Amir, A-M-I-R, Heru, H-E-R-U, number 9, like 9, whatever, at yahoo.com. While researching facts for this book, the author found a website entitled The Mexica Movement, Not Hispanic or Latino. Right, so, and then they got a website, mexica-movement.org, mexicanamovement.org. On this site, our Mexican brothers and sisters are working to proclaim their proper nationality and ethnic identity pre-Spaniard colonization. The brothers and sisters of this site refuse to be referred to as Latino, Hispanic, Mestizo, Raza, European, White, Criollo. They reject the notion of Central America, which they state was artificially created in 1823 by Europeans, much in the same way the Berlin Conference sliced up the ancient borders of territory in Africa and renamed them to facilitate better trade amongst European colonies in Africa. They claim their true identity is Mexica, pronounced Mexica, M-E-H-S-H-E-E-K-A, not like the Spanish influence Mexica or Mexica. They state that the Mexica pedigree ancestry is connected to the ancient Anahuac, A-N-A-H-U-A-C, and Nahuatl, N-A-H-U-A-T-L, cultures, which all Moors know are the relatives of the ancient Moors of the Europeans, the ancient Moors that the European referred to as Olmecs. The Mexican movement states that they reject usage of the term Aztec because Aztec, though in reference to indigenous people of Central America, Aztlan specifically, it is not reference to an older people they claim may not exist at the present time. They state they are Nican Tlaca, N-I-C-A-N-T-L-A-C-A, which in the Nautla language means indigenous people of the continent, or more literally, we the people are here. We are proud of our brothers and sisters of the Mexican movement. We are working towards the same goal. That goal is returning the proper nationality and birthrights. We are rejecting the property labels forced upon us by the European colonizing forces. We seek to honor our ancestors by returning to their vast legacy, and their names will be the only names we identify with. Let us also address this issue. Black is an adjective. It is a descriptive term. A proper noun is the proper and true name of a person, place, or thing. Moors are not adverse to the usage of the term black in metaphysics or the occult. After all, Asar was called Lord of the Perfect Black. Kemet means land of the black, in reference to the soil. Astrology, numerology, divination, ritual sacrifice, chanting in ancient tones, aromatherapy, herbology, tantric rites, color therapy, though all are Moorish science and legacy of all Moors, are considered to be the black or dark arts. Black in metaphysics signifies the unknown and in many cases melanin. It signifies melanin, the coloring pigment of the Moors, because melanin is the physical equivalent of dark matter, whose origin and purpose is unknown to the European suns. Metaphysics and mundane law are two different disciplines, though they stem from the same divine source. Natural law, we must always remember, sciences today that are taught in the open to all were once initiatory measures that were taught to a select few. Thus, employing the ancient Egyptian art of senzar or cipher, words are codified under different meanings. Though in another discipline, the same word may have meant something different. Color, the quality of an object or substance with respect to light reflected by the object, usually determining visually by measurement of hue, saturation, and brightness of the reflected light, saturation or chroma hue, Random House Dictionary, Unabridged Dictionary. Color, appearance, guise, or semblance, the appearance of a legal claim to a right, authority, or office, an apparent but legally insufficient ground of action admitted in a defendant's pleading to exist for the plaintiff, especially a plaintiff's apparent and usually false right or title to property. Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. Did you notice what just happened in the previous definitions? There was one word, color, yet there were two opposing definitions. The first definition was from a layman's perspective. The other definition was from a legal perspective. If you hadn't been initiated into the legal realms, you would be ignorant of the second definition, right? So the reality of identifying who we are, right? Wherever we are in the world, if we are identifying ourselves by terms that carry these meanings, right? Like being colored people and color meaning appearance, guise, semblance, right? It shows that you're a denationalized individual. It shows that you're stateless. It shows that you're not in the mind of the ancient foremothers and forefathers. Because the ancient foremothers and forefathers did not identify themselves as colors. You're not going to find it anywhere. It's not something that, we hate black. Just like he's saying. Black in metaphysics signifies the unknown and in many cases melanin. You know, Moors know that. But that's not what people are talking about when they call themselves black. They'll relate it to this, right? So they'll relate, well, I'm black to, well, you know, black means the metaphysics of the whatever and the black arts, and you know, so black is a good thing. Well, yeah, but not a good thing as identity, right? So don't get mad when Moors say that we're not black and, you know what I mean, black's adjective, don't call yourself black. How about change course? And then people are going to say, well, Moor means to dock a ship. So you're not a ship, so why would you call yourself Moor? Well, because Moors were the first navigators. That's why docking a ship is called Moor. Docking a ship is called Moor because of the Moors, not because of the ship. Right? A Japanese moorfish is called a moorfish because it's a black fish. It's not called a blackfish though. It's called a moorfish, but it's black. So why don't you just call it a blackfish? Because it's not a color, it's a fish. You're not going to call it a black. It's a fish. It's a Japanese fish that's black. So it's called moor. Okay, well that guy over there, he's black, but he calls himself black. There you lose. Even a fish knows that he's Moor before he's black. Right? Dictionary of Freemasonry. Black. Among the Athenians, black was the color of affliction, white of innocence, joy and purity. The Arabs and blazonry, I don't know that, B-L-A-Z-O-N-R-Y, give to black a signification evidently deriving from traditions of initiation. It designates among the Moors grief, despair, obscurity, and consistency in adversity and woe. Hence the mosaic work of a Mason's Lodge, a dictionary of Freemasonry. Once again, notice the contrast in definitions. The point that all Moors raise is that black is not a nationality. We are not opposed to the word black. We just know the science of it. Prophet Juali taught the Moors, black according to science means death. The death he spoke of was civil death, civiliter mortuus, the political death that many people, the Moorish Americans, so-called blacks and Latinos, are suffering from. However, there is another type of death, the death of the former self, transforming into the master of the masters, sultan of the sultans, the adept, and this death is symbolized by those Moors donning the black fez or turban who then dedicate their life to law. This type of death at times is brought into the manifest as the implementation of justice through the war principle, which is why the Moorish mufti wears the black fez. He is willing to veil his form, lay his life down for the preservation of the nation. All you black fez wearers, so you know now. So you know now. This type of death at times is brought into manifest as the implementation of justice through the war principle, which is why the Moorish mufti wears the black fez. He is willing to veil his form, lay his life down for the preservation of the nation. This is also why our Moorish forefathers, known dynastically as Abbasides, descendants of Al-Abbas, flew the black banner in times of war. Abbasides, A-B-B-A-S-I-D-E-S, descendants of Al-Abbas, Al-A-B-B-A-S. Woe unto the opposing nation that was on the receiving end of that black banner. You don't name yourself something only because the name sounds good. The name must have significance in order to have legal standing. It must be connected to a nation with a verifiable pedigree. If not, it is just a slave brand. In this information age, how could people be so misinformed? Anything wondered about can be researched, and individually concerned merely has to care. Merely has to care. That's all you have to do. Just care. That's all. Anything wondered about, anything wondered about can be researched. The individual concerned merely has to care. The branded Moorish American, the so-called African American, may choose a name like Dontavius, thinking this to be a cute name for a child. The US suffix in a nomen or name ties back to the Roman pedigree names such as Marcus Antonius. Would a Roman name be fitting for a descendant of the Moors? A study of Roman culture would serve to answer that question. Also, to take a European name and add El or Bey on it is not proper. Moors of the first two generations after Prophet Noble Drew Ali did this as a practice. However, they did not truly grasp the level of nationhood that Prophet Noble Drew Ali returned to the Moors. Many sarcastic detractors of this perspective would have stated, what about Noble Drew Ali's name? Drew is a European name. Prophet Noble Drew Ali's free national name was Sharif Abdul Ali, with the titles El Hajj and Sheikh often preceding the name. El Hajj means the pilgrimage, meaning one who has made pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, east, and Sheikh meaning elder. The author is also an El Hajj and has been since 19 years of age, though he does not use the title. Incidentally, when Noble Drew Ali signed in as a dignitary at the 6th Pan American Conference, he signed in as El Hajj Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, using his free national name. The choice is yours. We as Moorish nationals domiciled in the land of our forefathers and foremothers, the Americas, are not offering an ultimatum, nor are we speaking in absolute terms. We are offering this book mainly for the Moabites, Moorish females, who are the nurturers of life for our nation, that they may have cultural, lawful, legal names of their foremothers and forefathers to name our children with when they enter this realm. This is your handbook to study. Your religion is your business. We are concerned with nationality. A name is a public notice, a proclamation that one either honors their forefathers and foremothers or they don't. Which line do you choose to stand in? Remember, your cognomen or surname, if you are indigenous to this land, must reflect the masters that domiciled this hemisphere for 50,000 years. This hemisphere, Al-Maghrib, the furthest west, is very ancient. The people who are the originals for this land are also ancient. They had melanin, light to dark, wavy to woolly hair. Sound familiar? Look in the mirror. There your ancestors are, right in your eyes. Sisters, we are charging you with the duty of making sure these children don't end up property of colonial Rome, represented by the 6 white stripes in the United States mercantile trading banner, the Stars and Stripes. These 6 white stripes are England, France, Germany, Holland, Ireland, and Scotland. You as a Moabitess, Moorish American woman, are not descended from these tribes. Thus your children should not bear their names. Simple, right? Brothers, we are charging you with the duty of confronting every pregnant sister within your sphere of influence and giving her a copy of this book, sitting with her in honor, studying with her, and making sure she develops the ability to know how to name her children within the framework of the Moorish American worldview. This is your duty, not assigned by the author, by the author of this text, but by natural law. You are the protector of the woman, and she, being the child's first teacher, must make sure that she studies and studies well herself, higher and lower, and know exactly what to teach her sons and daughters. What is in a name? The answer is everything that a nation contains. This is all I have to say. Islam. All right. What's in a name? And that's Grand Governor here. We ran a CL. There's stuff right there. All right. So this is what Moors do. I know, yeah. Published by Alhambra Publishing. Available titles include 99 Divine Lessons of Truth, the Moorish Degrees. What is the meaning of the Holy Seal? Who is Noble Drew Ali? Lesson Book 1, Night of the Living Dead. Lesson Book 2, This Land is Your Land. Lesson Book 3, What Shall We Call Him? Lesson Book 4, Islamism, Moorish Divine Nationalism. Lesson Book 5, A Flag Above Any Other. Lesson Book 6, what we read today, What is in a Name? Lesson Book 7, Who is Allah to the Moors? Lesson Book 8, What Are You Doing with Freedom? And their contact information should be the same. Put that up there. Moorish Science Temple of America, 19, 353 Edgewood Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30312. All right. There's the Facebook as well. We got about 15 minutes left. If any more in the chat got a question or something, you can shoot that over. All right. Another thing for the people coming in. Just to touch again. Grand Chief Nature LB, how to live within contracts. All right. Because remember that proclaiming your nationality, that you're Moorish American and love truth, peace, freedom, and justice, uplift inequality, humanity, etc. You're contracted, right? There's a covenant, right, which you have to hold as a Moor, right? A covenant is a contract. A treaty is a contract. So, Constitution is a contract. So there's this theme of contracting, right? So we have to be aware, we have to be wise of how to live within those, because we're bombarded by them. Contracts is everything right now. I mean, every little thing is a contract. To the point where, they might not even ask for your signature. They'll say, oh yeah, just initial here, and you just, oh yeah, sure, think, and you just put a little initial. You just signed that. You just signed that. You have some contracts. You have some contracts that are colorable, which are de facto illegal or adhesion, and some are legal. An example of a legal contract would be if I offered you a trade of an item that was equal in value and you accepted, this would constitute a legal contract. There exists there exists an offer, acceptance, and substance or consideration. It has a result. Each component or parts of the contract would have to be done out of good faith, making it conscionable and valid. Those out of bad faith are considered unconscionable. Any agreement of any contract should be agreed out of good faith. This is part of the acceptance to carry it in good faith. Bad faith contracts was a result of someone not carrying out the contract, and their intentions are based on a bad intent, resulting in a breach of contract or perjury. There are different levels or degrees of breach of contract or tort. Conscionable contracts are important because we get into them every day, and we entered into the contracts before we really understood the terms and conditions. So this is where it comes into studying what Noble Drew Ali brought, right? Because with studying what he presented, you would be able to ground yourself so that you're not taken advantage of in this contract realm. This is why Noble Drew Ali made the statement of, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. Because, why did he incorporate the Moorish Temple? Because as a prophet, he saw corporation takeover coming. So he did everything necessary to protect the Moors as best as possible, even when the corporation jurisdiction, fraudulent jurisdiction, pops up. We'll still have remedy and still have something to do, somewhere to go to make sure that, we can not be violated. But like we were saying in the beginning, the one-hand guy out there that keeps dropping balls because, he doesn't want to catch any, but he's on the team, is a hindrance to the team. And nobody wants to kick him off the team, right? There are different levels or degrees of breach of contract or tort. Conscionable contracts are important because we get into them every day and we entered into the contracts before we understood the terms and conditions thereof. Based on the definition of a contract, even those contracts that we may not have agreed to consciously, we have become liable for because somewhere exists the fulfillment of the components, whether conscious or not. Whoever the presenter, creditor, or one bringing the offer of the contract expects the contract to be carried out in good faith. Regardless if we understood the terms and conditions, it is expected to know publicly, privately, morally, etc. Some examples of these are birth certificates, social security cards, driver's license, passport, green card, WTs. These are all contracts. Our job is to examine the nature of contracts, right? So when you hear, Moors out there have a license or a passport or a social, or they're doing UCCs and they're not really worried about whatever, they're just doing it, it's because they know how to live within contracts. It's not because, oh, you could do that over there, let me go over there and try to do that because, whatever, and get some benefits. No, you learn how to live within contracts. So you can contract with anybody. Nothing's wrong with contracts. But like corporations, nothing's wrong with corporations. It's, what's governing that contract is what the issue is. What's the fine print? That's what the issue is. And did we read it? And after we read it, did we make any corrections to it before we signed it? Did we scratch stuff out that we didn't agree with? Did we, you know, add things on that we didn't agree with? Because, you know, if it's a contract, you have a right to go through it, take out what you want, put in what you want, and then sign. And then whoever's receiving, now they get to look it over and say, okay, well, you know, whatever. You know? Adhesion contracts is a standard form contract prepared by one party to be signed by the party in a weaker position, usually a consumer who has little choice about the terms, also termed contract of adhesion. Some sense of trades and professional forms are extremely one-sided, favoring one interest group against others, and are commonly known as contracts of adhesion. From weakness in bargaining positions, ignorance, or indifference, unfavored parties are willing to enter transactions controlled by these lopsided legal documents. The creditor is the one who presents the contract, and the other is agreeing to the offer. The latter is usually in a weaker position. Nine times out of 10, this party is ignorant of the contract because they did not write the contract or make the offer. Right? Key point. The person offering the contract, if you're signing, be careful. Make sure you read over some stuff if you're signing. Because once you're signing, that means you're in a subordinate position and somebody might be trying to impose something on you. Somebody might be trying to get you to sign something that's going to have them be able to walk in your house and eat the fridge out and you not be able to do anything about it. Right? Because they're going to use this contract that you signed as the law to justify why they're doing what they're doing. Right? So, again, like we tell the Moors, get into the habit of reserving your rights when you sign anything. No matter what name you're doing, no matter what somebody says, initial, put the first letter here, you know, scribble right here, please, you know, whatever it is, somebody says sign, make it a pattern, you know what I mean? Teach the younger ones, make it a pattern. Oh, if somebody says sign here, make sure you write all rights reserved, without prejudice, and then sign over the all rights reserved without prejudice, right? That will show that you know how to live within contracts because you're reserving your rights, because that contract is more than likely, 9 times out of 10, right? More than likely, the contract is an adhesion contract, right? Usually at the cost of the weaker party or the acceptor who believes they are receiving a benefit, however, in fact, they are not. The contract is de facto or colorable. It appears to be legitimate or have a benefit. There are certain considerations that will automatically null and void the contract if the consideration was unclear and understand to be unconscionable. Why would we rebut or disclaim such contract? I can enter you into a contract that might be in the benefit of you and your free status without waiving of your inalienable rights. If you are conscious when you entered into the contract, it would make a difference, for it would determine your legal standing in the contract by the decisions made at the signing of it, right? So by you reserving your rights on the contract, it shows that you're conscious. By you reading the contract over, you know what I mean? Asking questions like, am I the only one signing this? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. You realize that once you learn how to live within contracts, this so-called, you know, beast system, living in this beast system or whatever, becomes easier. Becomes way easier. Because now you know everything's based on contracts, so you know how to live within them. And by living within contracts, you protect yourself from what people might want to try to do to you. Because majority of the adhesion contracts are circulated amongst our people. Credit cards, you know, the birth certificates and all that, right? Because remember, other people have a nationality. They have a nationality before they come here. and become a citizen of whatever, right? Whether corporation, nation, doesn't matter. The fact that they have a nationality before means that they have a certain degree of knowledge that we don't have. So while they're able to do things and get by with doing certain things, you know, our position is below that because we don't even know what nationality is. We haven't even looked nationality up to know what it is, right? And like they're saying in the chat, we all suffer from lack of knowledge. It's not a dark-skinned people thing, pale people thing, or whatever. Everybody's suffering for lack of knowledge now. The point of the Moorish Science Temple is to make sure that you get the right knowledge. So you're not, just out there trying to, grab at straws and, you keep getting the short straw. Yeah, because you're supposed to know yourself. You're supposed to know this already. But we're behind because people who were supposed to tell us didn't tell us. People who were supposed to put us onto knowing ourselves for real. Not knowing ourselves is knowing about dashikis or whatever like that. Learn how to speak Swahili, but you're still John Jeffers. You're still Kareem. You're Kareem and you know how to speak Swahili. Other people are looking at that like there's an issue. There's a glitch in the matrix. You know what I mean? This person just walking in the same spot, just over and over, just glitching. Right? Because you have to have your free national name. And again, we're not playing the bow to Noble Juali and stupidness like that. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we're on. We're on recognizing the lessons that he brought. Recognizing that when we're coming into the Moorish Science Temple of America, we're sick people. We got, plague. Right? And Noble Juali has the remedies. Right? We have the mental plague. We're the zombies coming out of the street, coming out of the zombified jurisdiction into a jurisdiction to clean up this zombified state that we're in. Because it's only a state, so it can be changed. You know what I mean? It's only a state. Right? That blockage that people have with regard to, knowing this level of information. Yeah, you'll be conscious, but you're not conscious if you don't have a nationality. So shut the hell up, come proclaim your nationality, or go learn about it, proclaim it somewhere else, whatever, it doesn't matter, but you better have a status. Because what you know doesn't mean anything if you don't have a status, right? So make sure y'all go out. I'll go out and support the Morning Star, right? Make sure you go support the Morning Star because all you gotta do is get this right here, print this out. You don't have to print it in color. You can print it in black and white on cheap paper. You don't even use glossy paper. Just print it out on the regular paper and just give these out. If you're riding the bus or whatever, just give them out. If you're, driving, traveling, whatever, just give them out. You know what I mean? Let people know something that they didn't know yesterday, right? And also to plug their contact, so at least you could get with those Moors. Right? Because there's enough work for all of us to do, Moors. There's enough work for all of us to do. And if we all did a little bit, so much would be going on right now. If we all did a little bit, so much would be going on right now. Right? Don't forget Muslim Journal. Right? Oh yeah, not only that, right? They also bigged up the Moors on the back page you know. It's the Muslims, don't forget. Muslim journal. Right? Prophet on there. You know, right? So, you know what's up. You know what's going on. Don't forget the good brother, Nature LB, How to Live Within Contracts. And Hiru Ranasi L, of course. Of course, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to say Islam to all the Moors. Peace, Hotep. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We'll close out with the prayer. Don't forget this Saturday. I'll beat up some people on Saturday. We've got something for all these fakers out here. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Ashe. And as well, don't forget, 9:30, 9:03 right now, 9:30, blogtalkradio.com, MHHS-eyes wide open at 9:30 today. Call-in number 347-945-5899. 347-945-5899. Blog Talk Radio. Islam Moors. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Islam to all the Moors in the chat. Continue to defend your prophet, Noble Drew Ali, your Moorish movement. Continue to uplift fallen humanity. Have a greater respect for womanhood. And let's continue to be active and not be passive. Islam Moors.